Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about how you can transition into starting a pool service business. So stay tuned. All right guys, welcome. Welcome to part 2 of this How to Start a Pool Service Company series of videos. If you haven't checked out part 1, go ahead and check that out. That is more geared towards, whether or not you'd make a good fit for a pool guy. It's a video that kind of talks about, different personality traits and things like that that would make you, either a good pool guy or a bad pool guy. You get to lay down on my therapy couch for a few minutes and we kind of talk about, what you're looking for in a job and what you're not looking for in a job. So if you haven't seen that video, go check that out. Okay, so part 2, you've decided that you are going to make a good pool guy. You're going to enjoy it. You want to do it. You want to go for it. So what do you do? How do you get started? Probably one of the biggest questions that guys have when they start out is how? Specifically if they're coming from a different job or a different industry altogether, how do they get going? How do they get started? What do they need to do? Okay, so step 1, you got to find out if there's licensing that's required in your specific location. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix requires licensing for repair work over $1,000, but just to service a pool, you don't need a pool license. So you could go ahead and get started without a license and then work towards getting that license later. But some places you have to have a license just to service a pool. So check that out. It's gonna be different for every location, but definitely check that out. That's gonna change the way that you proceed with starting your pool service company. And I can't really talk about licensing requirements because it's going to be different. Every location is going to have different requirements. So you're just going to have to check that out, check into it yourself, and figure it out. Ask other pool guys in your area, and see what you need to do to get licensed if necessary. Okay, so let's say that we've got the licensing out of the way, and you're ready to start your business. So what do you do? Okay, so basically there's 3 different methods, we'll call it, of starting a pool service company, and each method has its own pros and cons and things that you should consider when trying to figure out what method is best for you. But method number 1 is just buying a pool route. You can literally go buy a pool business and start making money day 1. This is probably the easiest way to do it, especially if you're a responsible person. If you're not a responsible person and you're afraid that you're not going to do a good job on these accounts and you're going to lose some of these accounts, people are going to cancel, this probably isn't the best method for you. But if you're, a responsible individual and, you're willing to do a good job and work hard, this may not be a bad option for you, because you can literally go purchase a route that's profitable from day 1. And people want to sell routes for different reasons. Some people, they just get too busy, they want to slow down. Some people are trying to retire. Some people had a tech quit and they don't want to hire anymore, so they're just going to sell that route. There's lots of different reasons. But if you decide to buy a route, definitely do your due diligence. Make sure it's a good route, make sure it's profitable, make sure there's no deferred maintenance. Like if you're buying a house, what I mean by that is, deferred maintenance on a pool route would be, customers that are really low rates, the rates haven't been raised, they're not market rates. That as soon as you take over the keys of that pool route, the last thing you want to do is tell people you're going to raise their rate. They're not going to like that one bit. So those rates need to be market rate, hopefully a little higher, hopefully somebody that's willing to give you some training and kind of hold your hand a little bit, and somebody you can bounce some questions off of and they don't mind that. That's what you're looking for if you decide to buy a pool route. If you buy a pool route, you can literally quit your job wherever you're at, whatever industry you're working in, and put in your 2 weeks notice and start your pool route with the flip of a switch. That simple. Okay, there's definitely some cons with buying a pool route too, and it's really important to understand. First of all, nobody really wants to sell a good pool route. They always want to sell the accounts they don't want. Why would they sell their good accounts? So if you've got an individual you're going to buy some accounts from, you got to figure out why they're trying to sell them. Are they trying to sell them because they're too far away from their house? Or are they trying to sell them because they don't like those accounts? You know, are they trying to retire? Are they selling all of their accounts, or are they keeping some accounts? If they're keeping some accounts, I can guarantee you they're keeping the good accounts and they're selling the bad accounts. Why would they sell you the good ones? That doesn't make any sense. Also, it's expensive to buy a pull route, and you get what you pay for. I mean, I won't lie. It's really nice to just have a turnkey business from day one and, you know, start making money. But you got to pay for that. Pull routes usually sell for, you know, 12 multiples of the monthly service rate, you know, if you're using a broker. Sometimes 10 or a little bit lower without a broker. But, you know, it's expensive. So you figure you might have a service customer that's priced at $100 a month. You know, if you pay 12 multiples for that, you're going to pay $1,200 for that account. That's a lot of money. So just think about it. If you add up, you know, let's say you buy 50 accounts to get started, you know, that's $50,000 or more. Do you have that much money in savings that you can spend on a pull route? If you don't, then you might need to buy less accounts, or you might need to keep saving. Go work for a guy learning the industry and save your money so that you can buy your own route one day. Okay guys, method number 2 is starting from scratch. This is hard to do with the flip of a switch, and what I mean by that is it's really difficult to leave your old job and start a pull service company day one and expect to get paid, because it takes a long time to grow a business. You have to advertise, you have to meet with people, you have to sign them up, you have to service them, and you know, there's only so much you can do in a day. Even if you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off, you know, there's only so many people you can sign up in one day. So if you think you're gonna quit your job and you're gonna open up a pull service company from scratch and you're gonna make $8,000 your first month in business, you know, there's about a 99.9% chance that's not gonna happen. More realistically, you might get a couple accounts that month and a couple the next month and a couple the next month. You know, it might take you a year or two before you actually get full time. You know, what are you going to do in all your time that you have when you're not doing anything? You're going to have a lot of downtime. What are you going to do in your downtime? Are you just going to sit around and twirl your thumbs and hope that those accounts come to you? And not only are you going to have a lot of downtime, but your income is not going to be very high. So keep that in mind if you start your own route from scratch. You know, do you have a significant other that helps pay the bills, that can help, you know, weather the storm while you're getting this route built? You know, do you have a family to support? Are there people in your household that require you for their financial support? If there is, you know, starting a pull route from scratch can be very, very challenging and very, very stressful, because most of the time it's going to take quite a while for you to build up a good income stream to support your needs and your family's needs. Okay, and then option 3 is basically like a hybrid version of option 1 and 2. It's kind of like doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Perhaps you purchase 10 accounts that can all be serviced on one day, and you know, you build the rest from scratch. Or perhaps you purchase 2 days worth of accounts and then you build the rest from scratch. Or maybe you purchase 2 days of accounts and then you leave 1 day open for you to build, and then you have 1 day or 2 days that you still work at your old job to help supplement the income while you're growing your business. These are all things that you're going to have to think about ahead of time. That way, you know, when it actually comes down to it, you're going into this with a plan, and you can actually plan ahead and make sure that you succeed, rather than, you know, get into this, you know, face first and realize that it didn't work out the way you had hoped it would, and then have to retreat and go back to your old job, and then just scratch the whole idea altogether. Yeah, I'll tell you how I did it. So, you know, I come from a medical background, and when I decided that I wanted to start a pull service company, I purchased some accounts on 1 day one day a week I service pools, and the other 4 days I worked in the medical field. And that was a pretty easy transition because I got to tell my boss, I said, hey, I want to have this day off every week. And that was pretty easy because I was already working a lot of hours anyway, so it was kind of like obvious that I didn't want to work my life away. So basically just told him that I wanted Mondays off. From there I started to build my route, and I bought some accounts because I really wanted to get my feet wet and just kind of get this little bug out of my system, because I didn't know for sure if it was something I wanted to do or not. So by buying some accounts, working 1 day in pools and then 4 days in the medical field, I was able to work 6 months in pools, only 1 day a week, but I got 6 months of it. I got to do, a little bit of winter, a little bit of summer, and I got to figure out if it was something that I wanted to continue to pursue. And if I didn't, it was pretty easy. I could just sell those accounts again, just sell them to, somebody who wanted to grow their route. I didn't lose any value in those accounts. They were still worth the same amount of money that I paid for them. Yeah, so another hybrid option is to go work for another pool company and, just make sure they know that you have your own, side business. And, a lot of guys are pretty cool with that. They'll let you work 2 or 3 days a week for them, and, you can work 2 or 3 days a week for your own accounts, as long as you're an honest guy and you're not using their chemicals to service your pools. They'd rather have you 2 days than nothing. I've never hired a single technician that was experienced. I've trained every one of them because it's hard to find a guy that's trained and is good, because those guys, they all have their own business, and they should. I'd love to be able to, hire a guy right now that could, do repairs and, service 80 pools a week. But, he's not out there. Practically in this industry, if you have a pulse and you show up, you're hired. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. And if you have a pool service company, comment below on how you got started. What'd you do? Did you buy a route? Or did you jump in head first? Or did you do a little bit of both? Did you go the hybrid route?